morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good.
All right. Look, there's a lot of people standing in here. How are you guys doing this morning? You doing okay? If you have an empty seat next to you, can you just raise your hand? Okay. So if you're standing somewhere, you see one of these hands, you can feel free to sit down where these people are. Don't worry. You can come on up. It's okay. Okay. So let's jump on in. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And you've had an incredible year, and you've done a lot of things in the IT space, but what I find most fascinating is how you've led. And you've led in a mission space that is so critical, and I think a lot of people on TV have a notion of what State Department is, that whether they've seen it on TV or the support that our teams do. How do you internalize the mission of the State Department and the risk you accept every day?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky at State. Like, I feel like I inherited the best team there 3.5 years ago. And they're super mission focused. And part of that is because like the mission is really obvious to us. We're in 190 countries. And State Department employees, they live there. You know what I mean? Like they're buying bread from the baker. They're going to the grocery store. They're living there. And so the reason that we do that, the reason that we're living in these places is first to engage with them diplomatically, right? To promote American businesses, to promote America in these countries. The other reason we do it is to enable us to help American citizens who are having problems, right? If you're overseas and you lose your passport, that's us. We'll help you with that. You're overseas and there's a natural disaster or war breaks out, it gets scary. We're there to help you with that. The other thing we do that I think like everyone in this room probably is familiar with is we provision passports. So the State Department engages with American citizens to help them when they're overseas, get them a passport. We engage with local governments to promote America, and then we also work with people who want to visit or move to America. So immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas. You want to come to America and go to Disneyland, you're not an American citizen, you're going to go to the State Department, you're going to go to an embassy.
So, and that's helpful because mission to me is the faces, the families, the people. And I think that when you are working to transform and you have the modernization initiatives and the ambition that you've had as a leader, how do you think about that imperative to transform without having the ability to turn the lights off?
Yeah, so this is, I think, something everyone in the federal sector has experienced, right? Like if I had a green field, if I could be a cloud-first company, yeah, get out of my way, that'd be awesome. That's not my situation. Like I inherited a ton of legacy IT, and I inherited legacy IT that I can't turn off. Also, no matter what we do, one of the most important things we do is keep folks connected who are in Bujumbura. So not only do they need to be able to phone home if things get spicy, if they need to file a report, but also they need access to systems. And so the way we're thinking about this is, I think the first thing is we're trying to use AI to enable us to have a better user experience. You're a State Department employee. Maybe you're feeling frustrated by having to engage with older systems. And I'll just use an example of HR, which they're not unique, and I don't want to pick on them, but we have older HR systems. Sometimes it's hard to remember, where do I figure out how many hours of leave I have? Does anyone know where that? I don't know where that is, And so what we want to do is slap agents on top of that so that I, for basic tasks, administrative functions, don't need to engage with this the 2 dozen systems that can tell me how much leave I have, when am I getting paid, can put in a leave slip. Or for us, because we're moving overseas, so we're moving overseas every 1 to 4 years, that means that your household goods, for those of you who've moved overseas, your household goods are on a slow boat and it's in the Pacific. Do you know what I mean? When are they gonna get to you? I don't know. Hopefully soon, who knows? But the system that tracks that's a system you use every 4 years to figure out where your household goods are, which is they're on a boat. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, instead of having to engage with every single one of those systems, I think we all remember the bad old days where for every one of those systems you had a unique password. Oh, come on. Now there's single sign-on, so that's good. That's better, right? We're just signing in. It knows who we are from our identity, from our card. But even better would be if I never had to go to that system again. right? If I have an agent that can answer basic questions for me. So this was a long answer, but the answer is, my vision is that we're going to slap AI agents on top of older systems to buy us some time, right? We're going to prioritize those systems that are like really expensive to maintain, lack resilience. We're going to fix those first. But the ones that are running along fine, but are just not a great user experience, we're going to make it so users don't have to engage with that system.
You know, and I appreciate, I think a lot of the leaders in the room can appreciate, there's a lot of ambition around AI. And a lot of the desire to use AI, people are using AI in their personal lives. How do you think about the actual getting people to use it in the way that you want them to, versus ways that maybe they may organically want to use it because they do that somewhere else?
Yeah, so this is like 2 years ago when ChatGPT first came out. The State Department, we're a narrative-based organization. We write papers, we write cables, we write words. If you could describe it with a graph, you know, like growth was linear from 1970 to 1989, we will write those words. We're not going to show the graph, we're going to write the words. That's okay, that's who we are. So when ChatGPT came out and it like can translate things, right? And again, 190 countries, even if your Arabic is good, shoot man, it helps to have a translator, you know? So when that came out, there was like a subset of State Department employees that were like, you gotta give me this right bloody now at like a sensitive but unclassified level. I need this on my network. I need to be able to use this. And so we built this generative AI chatbot, we call it State Chat. When we first rolled it out, it had, you know, sort of limited capability. Then we added capability, and we had these 3,000 pilot users who were like the nerdiest nerds, so dedicated. We would change the underlying prompt, and before we could see in our analytics the change, these 3,000 pilot users would be on our Teams chat being like, what did you guys do to the prompt? Like they were amazing. And then we went up to 9,000. We had these 9,000 pilot users that were using it all the time. They were engaging with each other. And I thought, this is now when I look back on it funny. I said to the chief data officer, who at the time was Matthew Gravis, I said, you know, when we make this available to 100,000 people, or a whole workforce, when we make this available, are we ready if 50,000 people use it next week? And he said, like, yeah, buddy, we are. And I don't know if we were or not, but he was smart enough to know that wasn't what we had to worry about. What we had to worry about is that we had the 9,000 people who are most excited, and that uptake from everyone else would require really intentional training. So we've had trainings where we've gone out to big embassies, sent out a team, showed them how to use it, talked to them about their problems, showed them all the different functionality, and had in-person training. We did this in Kenya just recently. And we can look and see at that embassy, how does use of the tool change after that? And it grows by like, you know, orders of magnitude. We're starting a program where we have specific like AI sort of advocates at every location, right? They signed up, they get special training, they can, you know, in their performance evaluation say they did this, and then they can like share what they know with their embassy. I thought that this would happen organically, and it didn't. Yeah, the answer is it didn't. So we've had to be really intentional around training and communications. The other thing, which was surprising to me, is we built this thing. It has a State Department logo. It's called State Chat. There's a big warning on it that says, hey, this isn't for classified, it's for SBU, but you know, you can use this or that. It's very much, it looks like a State Department IT system, except for that it's generative AI, and that's really cool. But like, we're doing everything we can to tell users about it. 6 months ago, so the thing's been out for more than a year, I had a user come up to me and say, is this allowable? Can I use this? And I thought, oh no. So it just, to me, that like highlighted the amount of education that is necessary for people to adopt the tools you build.
And I think it gives a lot of people pause, especially in the CISO community. I mean, with the anywhere, anytime connectivity, and I think this is something that you're touching on, but just want to hear your perspective on. You're working to keep everyone connected, no matter where they are, unclassed, classified, et cetera. Can you talk about how you think about that as a leader, with the responsibility and the risk you have with allowing the tools and commerciality and all those elements to come in?
Yeah, so two things on this. One is I'm so lucky with the CISO for the Department of State, Donna Bennett, truly a pro. And I can tell you, when we were like, we're going to roll out this generative AI, you can imagine what the CISO said, and you can imagine what the privacy officer said, and what the, you know what I mean? Everyone who's sort of has responsibility in that domain had concerns. So we brought them in really early. We actually had our guys hack the system. They did a lot of things that you hope a user never does, and I suspect State Department users probably won't do, but like, you know, they used it, and we found some things and we fixed them. But what that did is that allowed our cybersecurity professionals to feel pretty good about the system.
May I ask, how did you get that mindset to have your leaders be willing to try? I mean, State Department, the mission you have, and the no fail and no leakage, how did you let everyone know that was safe to do and what you expected?
Yeah, so something about State is that I found that everyone is really mission driven. So not just the IT pros who are super mission driven, but then also the diplomats. So like they are determined to engage and to do their job to the best of their ability, and they're going to use the tools available. And we're going to hear it if they don't have the tools available. So when we thought about generative AI, it was like, well, we can push really hard and deliver something that is more secure than an internet tool that is sort of publicly available, that there's been no intentionality around securing for the State Department. Very frankly, people are going to use that other tool to do their job. And so like there was a risk to rolling out generative AI at State, but there was also a risk to doing nothing.
Right.
And so like I've been really like, I'm just really lucky with the folks that I have that when we say these are our priorities, we come up with those together. And like everybody understands we aren't going to get to know. We may get to modified, we may get to like making some changes. It may not have all the things that we wanted, but like we're not going to stay at no. We're going to get to yes, and we're going to deliver capabilities because there's so much risk to doing nothing.
I love that, and it's true. You know, let's dig into what you said a bit here in terms of priorities. So AI is one aspect, but when you think about what you want to accomplish in 2026 and the incredible road ahead and this amazing time of transformation we're in, what are your priorities and how do you think about what you really want to accomplish?
Yeah, so we're trying to consolidate and standardize and simplify around commodities, right? If something is a commodity, let's just make it simple and standard. And that's like everything from end user devices to like help desks. Also like help desk, it sounds sort of wonky, but like the more you can make it easy for people to do their job, to reduce administrative friction, the better off you're going to be, right? And part of that is agents, part of that is consolidation. And we're also trying to democratize access to generative AI and to platforms. So I love that people are building their own tools and they're doing it in environments that are provisioned with safety, like security in place, and with some amount of data available to them, and then they're building the tool that they need. So that's like sort of the overarching objectives. We're going to roll out agentic AI. We're going to continue to embed AI in our systems. We're going to modernize the consular applications. So visas, passports, the underlying system needs some work, and we're gonna tackle that this year. And the other thing we're doing, and I think for government folks, you'll feel my pain on this. It became clear to me that our classified environment was not at parity with the unclassified environment. So the unclassified environment, we're living in 2025. I'm enjoying it. The classified environment, we were living in 2014. But I think we're moving forward. So like the kinds of things we want to be able to do is provide parity, right? To have your unclassified desktop look like your classified desktop. Have the applications that are so useful to you on your unclassified side available on the classified side. And that's a lot of work. Anybody who's done this knows.
Yeah. And just as we're wrapping up here, we have government leaders in the room, we have vendor community leaders, we have everybody in the mix here. How do you think about good partnership when you're thinking about achieving your objectives and priorities?
So first, I'm like really thankful. We wouldn't be doing anything without our vendors, whether they're like software vendors or folks actually sitting next to us every day. Those partners that we've had a lot of success with are those that have like understood the priorities and like owned them to the degree that I've owned them. That they're pushing me, their best folks are pushing my folks. And we truly have sort of shared ownership and responsibility.
I love that. Well, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for being here with me today. Appreciate it.